our response mechanisms are that old where you're right to think and feel that way because it normally is dangerous. So these things are factory settings to keep the body alive and safe. But now we take old school factory settings, put them in new school situations. And if you can't detect those two things, you're absolutely fucking screwed. And then you got all these people that don't know how to do this, anxiety, depression, and you're like, yo, I can control this now. This thing isn't controlling me because you have knowledge about it. You have that much more knowledge and responsibility and control over it. You'll be able to do it.
Noah Valinsky, welcome to the American Glutton podcast.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing real good. Feel good. Look good.
So you are a trainer and you live the life, you don't preach the life.
Right. Exactly. I've been on and off for fitness for over 20 years. I was in the entertainment industry, dancing professionally, acting, stuff like that. And then did some fitness stuff during that. And then now it's just kind of just the life you have to live. I think people mess up where it's like they think they want to be fit and they want to do this one thing and then that's it. Or they have to have the mindset and have to have the life for it to be sustainable. If that makes sense. Yeah.
What part of dancing, because dancing to me seems like something really just for fit people. Was fitness an ancillary thing to that, or was dancing enough to sustain that?
I think it goes hand in hand. It's just like a professional athlete. You have to be able to train and be physically capable to do anything like that. And dance is super demanding. It doesn't look like it, but you'll be on set 12 hours a day. Go. And your body just takes a beating, jumping on concrete, doing weird stuff. And it's like, you have to be able to withstand that and then go the next day and shoot as if you're completely fresh.
Yeah, no, I mean,
so you have to have that ability.
I think dancing is a gnarly workout. There was a few instances come to mind. Like I went to a couple of weddings over last summer and I would be at a hotel and these were like travel weddings. I'd have to go to Europe and it was like kind of a nightmare for me because my entire structure falls apart. And then I'm like stressed out because the gym basically sucks. But then I'd realize like I had the opportunity to get some cardio in at night because I could just dance. And like, I'm not a dancer. All it means is that I'm moving for a couple of hours. And this is not, nothing choreographed. The idea of doing that for 14 hours is insane, number one. And number two, I'm not doing anything real. I'm literally just kind of bopping up and down and moving. When it comes into like real dance moves, that requires a high level of fitness, I would think.
It does. And it's so funny when you said about the dancing too, what you were doing is I got from a running coach that I had once, and I really hated running in zone 2. And heart rate is like a lower heart rate, but it helps basically kind of build, your ability to run longer and stronger, right? So keep it simple. And so I would basically be walking and I'm like, this is bullshit. Like I want to run, like where's the stuff? And he goes, your heart doesn't know that it's running. So if you're running a little bit, your heart rate starts to spike, walk, get it down, and then run again and stay within that heart rate range. And your heart has no idea. So people think because they know that they're lifting weights or they know that they're doing cardio, or they know that they're doing this, that the body knows. There's no fucking idea you're dancing 3 hours at a wedding versus doing some other kind of cardio exercise that your coach told you to do. It's just going to burn the same.
Yeah.
So that's like a really good point to what you're saying.
You just have to move and stuff. I mean, it's the same thing with the diet. Like your body thinks you're starving. Your body thinks that the area you're in has run out of food and it starts to freak out a bit and go like, you better find food. You start thinking about food more, dreaming about food, fantasizing about food. Deep into a diet, you can't think about, like, it's hard to formulate another thought. Like talking to my daughter last night, she's going back to college. She's got she's a bundle of nerves. And I'm like, to some degree, you're in control of what you think about. And she's like, no, I'm not in control. The world is crashing down upon me. And I'm like, okay, well, right now I'm imagining a car in this room. Clearly there's no car in this room, but I can generate an image in my head of a car in this room. So to some degree, we're in control. But deep into a diet, Like if you're not spending every moment actively going like, now I'm going to think about, the state of politics, which is probably the worst thing to think about because it's just going to stress you out more. But like, if you're not actively forcing yourself to think about something, food is going to pop in there because your body doesn't know. Your body is like the most high-tech, dumb machine, just thoughtless, mindless machine. You're in the gym, you're lifting weights, your body thinks that's what it requires to survive. Your body thinks you're out hunting and gathering for food. Like, this is what I have to do. I have to move my body this amount. So it's going to try to game that over time if you don't switch it up. And in the same respect, you start dieting, your body goes, okay, so we ran out of food. We're not getting enough food. 6 months in, your body's going, you're fucking starving, bro. Go find some food. Anyway, it is funny that to think about the body as like just a dumb piece of meat that we're trying to move around a chessboard.
But like, I love everything you just said, because I swear to God, I say everything you just said, and I don't hear anybody say it like that. Nobody says it like that. Nobody thinks of it. In fact, when I talk to people, I go, here's a really good example. Okay, what does your body do when you die? And people are like, okay, it decays. Cool. Why the fuck aren't you decaying right now? Okay, because you're telling it what to do. You're giving it life, right? So why would you not telling it what to do not matter? Right? Like, your body is stupid. It has no idea what's going on. You're the one controlling what's going in your mouth and how you're acting. It is literally just a dumb meat sack that has signals to trick you into doing things because it doesn't want to die. Its whole purpose is to not die.
Right.
And so, like you said, like when I had that big realization when I did this 72-hour fast with my wife, and I was like driving, and I was like, oh, I swear to God, I can eat a freaking chihuahua right now. I'm starving. And I was like, wait a minute. I go, this is bullshit. I go, this body is literally doing this to me and controlling this mechanism of my mind that it's like, screw you, eat. Yeah. I'm like, no, screw you, bro. You're my bitch. I'm like, I'm not doing. And then I was like, after that, I go, it's literally the dumbest, smartest thing ever. And the fact that you said that was just awesome. It's awesome.
It is so high tech, but it's also really dumb at the same time. It's wild. Really it's dumb. A wild thing. I find too, like, the way I frame stuff to and for myself can play a huge part in it. Like, talking to my kids about being in control of their thoughts. And listen, I can get cut off in traffic and feel an emotion, and that emotion is real. My heart rate goes up. The hair on my arm stands up. I get maybe a little sweat. I'm angry, right? That's real. That's happening. And I want to react. I want to drive that guy down who cut me off and put my kids in danger. I want to force him off the road and just ruin him by saying like how awful he is, right? And like the control I have to exercise over myself is like, that's also dangerous to my kids. I don't want to put them in more danger. Like, I don't want to have that reaction, but I'm still feeling what I'm feeling. So there's a little bit of like, yes, we have to exercise some control. There's still some reality in like your body's going to go through stuff and put you through stuff that you don't want to experience. But the way I frame it for myself, I used to, when I'd be dieting, there would come a day where I'd go, I'm starving. I can't do this anymore because I'm starving. And framing it in that way, which isn't completely objectively true, if we're being honest with ourselves, starving means something. It has a real meaning. It means like you are so malnourished, you are withering away and dying. It means like there's a technical meaning to starvation. And me on day 6 of a diet am nowhere near starvation. But when I frame it in this extreme way, it opens the door a little bit for me to go like, yeah, I can't do this. I'm actually starving, But if I, prior to that, go into it going, I'm going to be hungry and I have to be okay with being hungry. That has to be part of this diet. I know I'm going to be hungry and I have to, and then when I get hungry, I go, all right, I am hungry. It's not pleasant, but I expected this. rather than framing it as like this catastrophic thing of like, oh, I'm starving. This is devastating. So I find that really useful too for my dumb meat sack body that I'm trying to control in this way of like the minute I start framing it and hyping up this exaggerated sensations that my body's feeling, like the guy cuts me off in the road. If I frame it as that motherfucker's trying to kill me and my kids, whew, that gives me more fuel to go like do something reactive, flip him off, pull up next to him, drive crazy like a maniac, tell him what for. Or if I go, that was scary, that was upsetting to me, but I don't want to react to it. I recognize that I'm feeling upset, but I'm going to like keep my kids safe, maybe even back off a little bit and get away from that guy who's driving recklessly. I just think the way we present these scenarios to ourselves can either help or hinder us in the long run.
Oh, it's true. And I think it comes with an education of the situation you're talking about. And that's why I like to talk to people and educate them the way you're talking about it, because it's very simple. Like, we have lived less in this century of cars and buildings and technology and in general than we have lived as a body for however many trillions, thousands, millions, whatever, caveman, whatever, time frame you want to put on it. So our response mechanisms are that old, where you're right to think and feel that way because it normally is dangerous. So these things are factory settings to keep the body alive and safe. But now we take old school factory settings, put them in new school situations. And if you can't detect those two things, you're absolutely fucking screwed. And then you got all these people that don't know how to do this, anxiety, depression, and you're like, yo, it's simple. It's really, really simple. Like, you just don't put your kids in danger, even though that guy did. And you understand that if I get out of this car, what's it really going to do? You know what I'm saying? What's the consequence of this situation? And then, do I want that consequence? You have to be smart enough to go, this is just some BS over here. And it's very simple to understand these things. Like, I tell people, even working out, they like want to do all these fancy workouts. They're like, can you change my workout? Shit, shock the body. I'm like, that guy, it was a fucking farmer who's jacked and just been going like this with fucking wheat like for 7 years, and he just diced. Or the Spartans who carried 100-pound packs, God knows how many miles for war, and this sword that people couldn't carry for 5 minutes, and they're in battle with it. I go, this is what your body is used to doing, not, I got to do biceps this way, or I got to do shoulder this way. Like, it's a very innate situation, and that basic knowledge of it will help you literally take your fitness to like the mindset that I think we're talking about. And so I like that you're with it too, because I really try to tell that and like teach that to people. Like, it's very simple.
Yeah,
it's too complicated now. That simplicity is like, will change your world and be like, make it a lot easier, allow you to do that mindset thing you're talking about, which is, okay, how am I going to frame this? All right, yes, I'm going to starve, but it's the body doing this. And then you go, oh, I can control this now. This thing isn't controlling me, because you have knowledge about it. You have that much more knowledge and responsibility and control over it. You'll be able to do it.
Yeah, no,
simple.
It's a great point. And to your point about like gaming zone 2 cardio, to be completely honest with you, I don't love zone 2 because my instinct is like, I want to redline it. But I do
Yes.
I do 90-minute zone 2 twice a week on a rowing machine. And actually keeping my heart rate steady is really hard on a rowing machine, because it goes up and then I'm like, well, fuck, I got to slow down. And then it's like, no, you slowed way too down. Even if it's like I slowed down 2 strokes a minute and 5 seconds splits, like, really doesn't seem like a lot to me. Then suddenly I'm 10 beats under where I want my average. And to your point, I figured out a way to enjoy it the best that I can, because it's a goal I want. Cardio is a goal I want. And for you figured out like, yeah, you walk a little bit, your heart rate goes down, you run a little bit, you spike it up, you walk a little bit. Like, there is gonna be a way to figure out your goals to create some paradigm that is at least enjoyable. But if you're not even looking for that, if you're going like, it's just miserable, doing what my trainer told me is just miserable, it's just a chore, I hate it, I don't think that you last. I don't think you get there. Like, 6 months in, are you still doing something that's miserable? Or, are you going to go like, this was not fun. And I don't see it getting any better. I don't have any projected wins. I don't have any projected targets that I'm aiming for. I'm just grinding out my zone 2 cardio a couple or a few times a week, and I hate it, and I want to kill myself while I'm doing it. And it's like, well, go play pickleball, go play golf, maybe just walking around the golf course is going to do it to you. Go take a walk outside, walk through a dangerous neighborhood. Maybe that's enough to get your heart rate up. Who fucking knows? But there's going to be something.
Yeah, like start line dancing. Like it doesn't fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? But also to your point about you like saying this is going to be miserable and this is going to be miserable. I think people just really do that in every area of their life too. Like, what if you did that in your relationship?
Right.
Like, oh, I'm going to be miserable. This is going to be miserable. This is going to be fucking miserable. I just told I was talking to a client earlier about something, and I was like, dude, like you have to think that you going into one thing, the way you act about it, mindset wise, is going to be how everything else runs.
Yeah.
If you run into this diet, you're like, I can't do this. And then you go into this relationship, I can't do this, and work, I can't do this. What is the same thing that you're telling yourself? I can't do this, right? Or this may suck, but I told my wife one time, just to sidetrack, she was like, why are you not worried? We were in this one situation. Why are you not worried at all? I was like, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to die. So who really gives a shit what happens?
Yeah.
I have control over everything else. So why would I worry and stress and go, okay, this may be this, but be real about the situation and go, this could be fun. Like I didn't like running, but a buddy of mine wanted to do a marathon. And I was like, screw it. All right, I'll do a marathon. And then all of a sudden I was like, this is awesome. I loved going on. I loved bringing my son for 6-mile runs. I liked the piece. It was like, I liked the timing of it, like everything. I liked that I could lower my, time per mile and staying in zone 2. I went and lowered it by a few minutes.
Yeah.
I was in zone 2 and doing 10-minute miles. And I was like, this is nuts. Like, how cool is that you have that control once you're like, hey, this isn't going to be that bad. Or, hey, I'm going to have fun doing this, as opposed to the other mindset. This is going to suck. Well, you're not going to sustain suck.
Right. This is going to suck. I'm not going to improve. I just have to do it. I don't really see the point. Like the framing, I think, is so important because I can frame something in a way that makes it harder, or I can frame something in a way that makes it easier. And that's all just the way I'm thinking about it, which I am ultimately in control of. And then I have to also be real with myself of if I'm genuinely not enjoying it, but I'm going like, well, I'm just going to stick with it. For me, those structures have always fallen apart at some point and then just been cast by the wayside and watched me have some kind of relapse. And I actually believe within myself that I will do that kind of subconsciously, knowing it's going to get me back to relapse quicker, going like, I'm a sober guy, and there were so many times where it was like, okay, on day 1, I'm going to quit doing drugs, quit drinking booze, quit smoking cigarettes, and get on a diet and start exercising. And I actually think I would choose to take on all of that because I know by day 5, the whole thing falls apart and I can just do drugs again. Do you know what I mean? Rather than what is the structure that gets and keeps me sober? And I'm just going to focus on that and build the foundation for that because I really, really want that. And so when it's like, when I was 500 pounds, there was a moment of like, I want everything right now. I want to lose all the weight right now. Okay, but really that just got me back to being overweight much quicker than had I just gone, what's one thing I can change today and improve upon and build upon and take my time and really ease into it? Because like I was thinking more in terms of finish lines than long-term success way back then.
Right.
And it's hard for me to say that I was doing anything knowingly. I wasn't, but I think I was blinded to the amount of work it really required, the amount of structural change, the amount of mindset change that it really required to go like, oh, I'm going to be better off. I'm going to be better suited for success if I focus on one thing at a time. I get really good at that. I build on it. Nothing's going to happen overnight. It takes a long time. And those are just different ways to perceive stuff, different perspectives.
Yeah, but I think it's great everything you said, and it makes a lot of sense. Where if you have a plan too to do something, if there's also no organization in that, the plan's going to fail, right?
Right.
And so having that structure that you're talking about, getting good at one thing, taking like that's organization.
Yeah.
Like you're organizing what you need to do to handle in order to handle the next thing, in order to handle the next thing. So everything has to happen on a gradient. And people want to do all at once, or they look at something and they go, "Oh, I need to finish it all at once." And you're like, "No, no, just start. Start somewhere." Because those wins are going to build on those wins, and then that thing's going to be handled, and you're going to go, "Oh, okay, I can handle another thing." And then by the time you look at it, a couple of years down the line, you're like, "Wow, I've handled so much stuff in my life." And it's just because you organized your thought process and you had that ability to structureize your situation. And that's really what it takes. Like when I did, I'm always doing something extreme just because I'm like, I just don't want to be sit idle. And so I did this fitness competition last year, and it got down to the point where like I was like, all right, in order to be like this, I have to be organized like this. I organize my shirts, and like nobody has to do it like this, but this is for my mindset. I organize my shirts in color. I bought these little cups for my espresso. Like I had like everything dialed in. I had these hooks on the back of my truck for my water bottle because I had a half gallon because I had to drink 2 gallons of fucking water a day. Like I was going for this competition and I wanted to win. And in order to win, I realized I had to be this guy. And this guy needed this organization in order to have this prize. Right. And so that was all structure. That was all organization. And that was all just mindset of saying the mindset comes after you have those things. Because then it's easy for me to fall back on the things I've created structure wise. But if you don't have the structure, your mind falls back into the old structure, which was what you got you fat or drunk or drugs or whatever in the first place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I've built something new for my new area of how I need to act, as opposed to acting like I was the old guy and having this new goal. Those things don't work. It's like two polarities, like it just doesn't happen. So you have to organize your life. And then I realized, wow, the more I put the structure in for who this person I want to be, it's not that hard. And then the stuff I fall back on is the stuff that I placed on purpose to organize it. And so now I've got more success in line than I do failure. And I think people focus on the end goal more than those little pieces of detail that will help bolster them to the win.
Yeah. There's a
If that makes
military.
sense.
No, it totally does. There's a guy who trains military and combatives. His name's Tom Kyer. I've had him on this show a couple of times, but he has something called the readiness
So
formula. And basically, he breaks down readiness. You wake up one day and you're like, I'm ready. And he's typically talking to dudes who are going to war and like they have to be ready to kill somebody or be killed. Like that's what you have to be ready for. And
yep.
and his whole point is like there are actual organizational structure to being ready. And the 3 points he goes over is awareness, willingness, preparedness. And like you can wake up one day and think you're ready, and ready could just be like, I want to change, and that could equal to you, I'm ready to change. And like, now I'm going to go about changing. And if your awareness of what it takes to change is diminished, if your willingness to do what it takes to do is diminished, and if you're not prepared, you're not actually going to achieve the change you want to change. Like the change you want to achieve, like it takes a lot more than just waking up one day and going, man, my life is unmanageable. I'm not going to do this anymore. Well, everything in your life is set up to continue that state. And if you don't go through the process of like the organizational side of it that you're talking about, like really considering what it might take, how it might disrupt your life in the way it's laid out today, and like having some consulting your willingness of like, am I actually willing to do all that stuff? Then likely you're not going to achieve the change. I know for me, I went for, 15 years of going like, I'm fucking ready to change. I'm going to do this one thing and I'm going to change. And then I would see a change. And then I would wake up one day, months down the line going like, what happened? I don't understand. Because somewhere in there, my awareness was too low. I didn't consult my willingness enough, and I wasn't prepared at all for what it really was going to take to change. So I think that's a great point you make, because I just know, like, I think we can be we can mix these two things up. The desire for change and actually confronting the amount of work it might take are two completely separate things.
Yes. Right. It's true. And like, I'll just give a really fun example of the last thing you just said. It was, I had to redo the stairs in my house. I used to help somebody with flooring back in the day. And I was like, I've never done fucking stairs before. It's got to be a thing. So my thought process was, okay, what problems am I going to like come up against? Let me YouTube, Google like problems with this situation. So now when I came into it and I Googled all this stuff, I found this tool that I went to Home Depot, had no idea that it existed. Nobody did. Because there was this tool specifically for measuring the stair because it's not even, right? It was wild. And so I found this tool. I did this stuff. I did the stairs. They were unreal. People are like, you did this? And I'm like, yeah. I look at it and I go, wow, I did this. But the only reason why I succeeded is because I literally was like, okay, what problem am I going to have, and how organized and prepared I can be for those things to happen. So that way, when I did it, I wasn't like failure. It was like, oh, I was kind of ready for that. Oh, this is a little different, but I have this prepared. Like, so my readiness, because I prepared and organized, I was able to execute 10 times easier and actually confront it than before when I have to do all of that stuff at once. So I think people are missing those things, like you said. Being prepared, knowing what it's going to take to do that, and then actually, analyzing the situation and putting themselves in a position to succeed.
Yeah, you take a guy who wakes up one day and like, look, I have tried running. I cannot run. I have flat feet. I have no meniscus in my left knee. I have patella tendonitis in my right knee. I have arthritis in my hip. I just when I could ride my bike 150 miles in a day over mountains and repeat it the next day with no problems at all, I could not run a 5K. I just couldn't do it. Like structurally, I'm not cut out for running. And I had to become okay with that. Like somebody invited me to do a Live Strong event. This was many, many years ago in Austin, Texas. And day one was this monster bike ride with Lance Armstrong. And I was like, oh my God, yes, this is like an undeniable bucket list thing to do. So I go out there, ride the bike. It's amazing. Wake up the next day feeling fantastic. And like the day two is a 5K. And I go and I'm like, why can't I run? I just am not structurally fit to run. It wasn't a cardio thing. My cardio wasn't suffering at all. It was like, I just had to go like, okay, this is not for me. And that's okay. But like, let's say somebody wakes up one day who's never exercised, who has no cardio, who hasn't done any running, and they get the bug up their butt to go run a marathon. Unless you're some, savant-like athlete, it's going to take work. You don't just wake up one day having never exercised before and walk out your front door and run 26 miles. That's not a thing, And so like often it will, and I love the stories too, where I hear stories all the time of like guys who are like, no, I wanted to run a marathon and I ran a marathon. And I tend to look at those people and go like, yeah, you look like you could run a marathon. Like you talked about running a marathon. And I don't imagine it was like the hardest thing you've ever done even. Might not have been. Like I think running, dancing for 14 hours might actually be harder than running a marathon, or marathon's like 3 to 5 hours, right?
Yeah, it might be, but like I'd never run like that before. Right. I like to think of myself as just in my head, I'm willing, right? I'm always willing to whatever, however hard it is, whatever the problem is, like I'm willing to get beat up. Like, so that's like my superpower. Like, I don't care what it is, let's go. Even if I had it, but I'm good at this. I don't know how to run or what I'm supposed to do. I was yelling at my watch at and some lady across the street was like, probably thought I was psycho because I was mad that I had to walk. I just wanted to redline it, like you said. And I was going through all these emotions that I had to like I was not having fun. And then I didn't even get a chance to run 20 miles to run a marathon. I ran 10 miles. Then my dumbass ran a half marathon because I was like, I'll get ready for the next marathon. Stupid. 2 weeks before the marathon, never run 13 miles before, almost killed myself, didn't supplement right. And then I couldn't run for the next 2 weeks because I was sore. And then I go and run a marathon at 200 pounds and, I get a sub 4.
Right.
No idea. But like it just because of the planning and the practice, like you said, but like also that shit's hard, man.
It's
The
hard.
marathon was like, it sucked. The last 6 miles was horrible, but it's like, again,
So
if running is not for you, cool. If this is, whatever.
but even for a fit guy, you didn't wake up and just run a marathon.
That's the point.
It took some.
That's the point.
Yeah. And I think that there is, there's also going to be a level of like, you have been in fitness for many, many years. And so, yeah, your preparation might be less than mine. Mine, I don't know if I'd ever be up to running a marathon, but like if I woke up and I was like, no, this is something I have to do. I can't live my life without doing this. I know it would take a lot. It would take an amazing amount of time and work to get me in shape to do that. And I would have to be willing to do that. And I think that often today when we have like even look, I think these peptides are truly miracles. But I think you're going to have people like I had a conversation with a guy recently who's been on Mounjaro for 2 years. And he's like, I'm nowhere near where I want to be. It basically, stopped working. But I want to tell you, like, I've done nothing but take Mounjaro. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not right. It's not just that. Like if you have specific things, if you want to put on muscle, Mounjaro's not going to do that. If you want to get to, like sub 10% body fat, Mounjaro's not going to do that. If you know what I mean? It just doesn't do that. It will reduce your body weight by some big percentage. But then like, this guy was still overweight and had basically plateaued for a year. And it's like, yeah, it might assist you. It might be a great tool, but it probably isn't going to be like a cure-all, just that thing on its own. And keto isn't going to be a cure-all. And intermittent fasting isn't going to be a cure-all. And just showing up at the gym isn't going to be a cure-all with no plan. And you're like, well, I've been on the treadmill every day and I'm not growing my pecs. It's like, yeah, the treadmill's not going to grow your pecs, buddy. There's got to be some plan.
Sorry. No, it's true. And I tell this to people all the time. I go, first of all, the peptides are great. Nobody cycles them on and off, which is A. People are getting these from their doctors. They're getting wrong dosages. And then they're also not eating healthy or doing the fitness part of it. And I like this. It's 2 examples I like, exactly what you said. I go, fitness is like baking. Okay. Baking, if you're one ingredient off, your pie is like literally turns out to be a shoe. Like it's fucked, right? Right. So you can have everything else right. But one little thing, you're screwed. And these people go, well, I'm trying keto. Keto's a tool. Intermittent fasting's a tool. These are tools to change your body. But it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be that way unless you have a medical condition. Then you have to eat meat and like that's it because you can't process whatever. Or a autoimmune disease or some situation. But these are all tools to help you. And I can tell you too, another example, I go, you can have the fastest truck in the world, all the cool bells and whistles, beat everything, and you're missing one wheel. You're not going anywhere, buddy.
Right.
Look at how cool your truck is. You're missing a wheel. You can't drive. So they're using these peptides. They're doing this stuff. They're getting wrong dosages. They're not eating right. They're not eating healthy. And they're not doing it for them. Just like you said was so important. Your zone of what works and what doesn't work, or when this is going to work and when it's not going to work, or how your body feels, and you've figured it out. And so now you can sustain that. But these people think that they're going to do keto or they're going to do this and then it's going to fix. Like, no, you have to do everything that we said, and there has to be an understanding of the preparation of it. And knowing body, like I don't squat anymore. So I don't fucking care. I don't squat. I don't need to. I'm 41 years old. My legs are stronger than shit. I'm not trying to be like this crazy, unbelievable thing out there, but like, fucks with my back. Cool. So I'll find machines that don't and still push tons of weight and be happy. Like, and then if some guy's like, you don't squat, cool, I don't. See you later. Like, I don't get wrapped up in it with a lot of these people do. It's like, who cares?
Yeah. Look, I'm not a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I tried to live as a bodybuilder for a couple of years, and it was just, honestly, it was exhausting. It was a lot. And it was like, I looked really cool in a photo. And then I was like, after a year, I was like, why am I doing this? I don't, if I want to take another photo, maybe I'd spend 6 months living like this again for that photo. But otherwise, my weight is stable. I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I'm working out. And to your point about legs, I started spending a lot of time in New York and walking like 20,000 steps a day. And I would go to do legs twice a week, and it would just be actually too painful. Like where I'm going, like
Painful.
my
Yeah.
legs are never recovering because I leave the gym and I have to walk everywhere. And then by the time I get to my next leg session, my legs haven't healed up. And like
Yeah.
I've lost a full day of legs per week because I'm just going like, what is this doing for my life? If my legs are just constantly miserable, and I'm not even afraid of soreness. I don't mind delayed onset muscle soreness. Like that's fine. But like you also have to let your body recuperate so that you can tax it again.
And that's too. And then, like, again, people aren't taking in that fact. I've got some clients, a lot of my clients are older, and they're like, what's happening? I'm in pain. I go, what do you think was going to happen when you blast your legs? Like, you have to recover. You have to get like massage therapy. You have to take the right supplements. You have to stretch. You have to foam roll. Like, and then they're like, why am I like this? I'm like, bro, for 40 years, you didn't do shit. And then now you're putting in work, and then you expect the body to be like, it's not going to do that. It's going to be like, we're dying. And
Right.
It's going to freak the fuck out. Like, you have to take care of every aspect of it. And you can't sit there and think it's a whole ego thing. It's like, you have to put the ego outside of it and look what's in front of you that makes sense and handle it accordingly. Cause I'm sitting here going, my knee hurts right now. There's some stuff that I can't do. Like, Molly's like, let's go for a run. I'm like, I can't do that right now, but can I hand squat 6 plates, 3 on each side. Usually it's, for the audience is 6, but for us, it's like 3. So 3, yeah, I could do that. But for some reason, when I run for a long period of time, it acts up. I don't know. Cool. So I don't run.
Yeah.
I'll squat, whatever. But like you said, the soreness and everything, and knowing what your body can do and how it's acting, I don't know. It's just, again, it's a major part of fitness and a major part of the mindset and a major part of what we're talking about. It's knowing, having these pieces of information instead of just blasting yourself into oblivion and then not being able to move.
Yeah. And well, this is something for many years, I would have it in my head like, well, I have to do keto, right? I was convinced that carbohydrates were bad. I'm no longer believe this, but whatever. I had that in my head. And then if that became unsustainable, I would go like, well, I can't do anything because this didn't work, so I can't do anything. Or bodybuilding is the only way to lift weights. And then I get kind of sick of that. And I'm like, well, if I can't do this, if I can't keep this up, then it's all worthless. And like, I think there's very much something to like, this is why I try not to preach, because part of what I've learned is that somebody else's structure is not going to be perfect for me. Like, I believe that movement makes me feel better. And I would love to put that message out there. It's possible that movement will make you feel better. Getting your heart rate up and just moving through space and time will likely make you feel better. Like, the science agrees on this.
Yes.
Everyone I know who moves as a recreation will tell you, I feel better after I move. And I don't think you can beat thermogenesis. So, no matter what your dietary structure is, if you're overeating, if you're taking in too much energy, you're not going to lose fat. And besides that, whatever structure works for you. But like, so many times I would have some piece of data, and if I couldn't fit that piece of data into my life, I would give up for a while. I would go like, well, that didn't work, so I'm not going to do anything, rather than quickly pivoting and going like, okay, that's not for me. What is for me? You know what I mean? Like, my friends play basketball. That wasn't for me, and so I didn't do anything. But then my friends started playing pickleball. I tried. It's not really something I enjoy, so I go like, that's not for me. But I like riding bicycles, and maybe they don't, so I go find other people that like riding bicycles, and then it's like, oh, I'm good at this. I enjoy it. I can do this for long periods of time. But for many years, it was like, if one thing didn't work, I would just end cycle on the whole game. rather than pivoting and looking for something new. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of activities. There's a lot of ways to get yourself moving. There's a lot of structures that you can adhere to that are going to get you into an energy deficit. There's a lot of different tools out there that you can use. If one doesn't work, move on to the next one.
No, and it's true. And that's how you make it sustainable. Fitness can be sustainable because of that way. It's finding what works out for you. Like you got these guys that are on the internet for these health guys. I forget this one guy, forget his name, but he's talking about fitness and ingredients and all these different things. But if you look at it, he just has found out what's really good for him and what he works well on and what we can burn fat on well, or whatever the math equation is for him, he knows it. And so it's going to work like this. As opposed to if I do what you do, I'd be like, oh, this sucks. And then in my head, again, like what you talked about earlier, is the framing is screwed. And I have really shitty framing because I got a guy a long time ago, he was like, do chest like this. And I was like, my hands were out here and I was trying to do bench. And I was like, man, I'm not building a chest. Well, guess what, bro? Our arms aren't the same. This whole thing isn't the same. So if I pull in here, I get more of a pump. I go, bam, I'm building a chest because my body is structured a little bit differently. So taking and understanding the principles and molding it to your sustainability and your lifestyle is what's going to do it. And I do want to run again. I want to do Chicago Marathon because I heard I'm from Chicago, and then it's also pretty flat and easy. I did LA Marathon, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
A lot of hills in LA.
But I'm I want to do it again. I was like, "What is going on?" I thought we were going to the beach, and we weren't. And I had to go around Westwood. I was like, "This isn't cute. I don't like this." Wanted to see the beach. What the hell? So I wanted to do other stuff. I mean, there's also this one marathon. It's cool. Then we're talking about sustainable, cool stuff, right? So there's one in I think Alaska, and you're running on ice, and it's a marathon.
Wow.
How cool would that be to just do that for no reason, to be like, I'm going to do this marathon on stuff, I think. And again, fitness is fun for me. And I'm choosing the fun, and I'm getting the body moving, thermogenesis. And like you said, calories in, calories out. There's no other equation. And there's tools, like you said, for keto, to get you fat adapted if you're majorly overweight, and that helps. But once that runs out, you still got to get on basic foods or carbs or this or whatever else that your body needs. So it's very structurable, fitness is, but you have to not put the ego in, and you have to go, what do I like? And how do I want to move? And how do I want to sustain this? And it'll be easy as shit. That's one of the easiest things you've ever done.
I have a buddy who had terrible psoriasis. So he went on the carnivore diet, and his psoriasis cleared up. And then he got into weightlifting, and he's lifting weights, and he's grinding. He's grinding at weightlifting. And so he starts talking to me, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know that it was necessarily carbohydrates that were causing your psoriasis. Can we play around with your carb intake? And maybe that will help fuel. And he was like, oh, I don't want to have a flare up. And I'm like, okay, well, the only way we know for sure is you enter one thing back into your diet, and let's see what happens. And so he entered vegetables in, and his psoriasis flares up. And I go, okay, so vegetables aren't even really the way I would really try to get my carbs. So can we try something else? Can we try,
same.
even if it's maltodextrin, right? Or potatoes. Yeah. I know that's a vegetable, but he was like, I'm going to get all my carbs from spinach and broccoli. And I'm like, oh, well, good luck with that, buddy. That's a fucking shit.
Yeah, seriously.
Spinach and broccoli. And
not fun either.
Right. Not fun. And now I've been talking to him for about a month. He eats 5 bowls of rice a day, no psoriasis. He's lost body fat. He's gone from high fat meat to moderate fat meat. He's taking some fish oil. He's eating a ton of carbohydrates, a ton of protein, a little bit less fat. He was drinking buttered coffee and eating beef tallow and frying everything. And we made these alterations to his diet, and he's fucking killing it. His body fat has come down. He's now really swollen up, with his muscles are all filled with glycogen. He's having longer gym sessions. And he was under the belief that he had to stop eating all forms of carbohydrates to keep his psoriasis in check. Now he realizes if he eats raw spinach, he's going to get a flare up, and that sucks. So fine, don't eat raw spinach. You know what I mean? You got to play with it a little bit.
That's not a bad problem to have.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not a bad problem to have. Like fuck spinach. Like
I know, I hate it too.
I did that bodybuilding show when I was. Who cares? Like I was bulking, and I got like almost 5,000 calories from my coach because I wanted to put on muscle, and that like I go through phases where I do want to bulk now or I want to lean. You know, like again, doing what I want. And then I just got sick of eating vegetables, and it was on the plan. I go, screw these vegetables. I'm not going to eat them. And I can't tell you, nothing changed.
Right.
I started to gain more weight, and I was like, you know what? And then there's this weird thought in my head that it's always played around is like, you know, like I told you back in the day, right? So if you really think about like the kings and queens, what did they have? They had meats, berries, right? What did these people that were poor? Vegetables, like all these weird other carbohydrate, like all this stuff that like just to fill your, right? They didn't give a fuck. They weren't like, they were like, give me this meat, give me this berry, let me drink this beer or this meat or whatever. There's carbs. And you think about how amazing they felt and looked. And then you look at the people that are down here and you're like, man, so is vegetables really the way? Do you want to get your fiber from that? Yeah, there's probably a bunch of scientific facts and blah, blah, blah. Do I look good? Am I happy? Do I feel good? Yes, cool. Well, fuck spinach. Like
Right.
it does. Like you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Again, like who gives it? But like a really good point to what that I was going to say. The carbs were going to be it as soon as I started talking, and bam, like
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah.
And same thing.
His
with
life
my
turned
wife
around
and-
dramatically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But people are like, oh, I'm afraid of carbs. No, it's like the ingredients in your food, the quality of your food, whatever's going on with your body. That's why people look at me when I go, we take you down to zero with foods that are pretty simple foods. And they're like, oh, I don't want to eat the same. And I go, well, when you run out of Oreos, what do you go get? Chips Ahoy? Like chocolate chips? No, you get fucking Oreos, motherfucker. So don't give me this, I want to eat the same thing. Keep it simple and find out what's working. And then you add and subtract, like you said. And then now you have an understanding. And once you have the understanding, you can be sustainable in your fitness and it's not stressful.
Yeah.
I can't do after that competition I did, I was stressed out and I had to fire my coach because he was like, you know, fucking like everything perfect, which he was a bodybuilder and that made sense. But again, that wasn't my life. And I was like, I have a son. Sometimes he wants a donut and I'm going to go get a freaking donut with my son. Like he's 4 years old. Like after my competition, he was like, let's eat cereal together. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So me and him ate cereal as my cheat meal or whatever. And I was like, you know what? If that's not part of your life, then don't do it. But you should be healthy, happy, and fit, regardless of all the things we're saying. Like that is like non-negotiable. And you have to find your way there. If you're not, you're just excusing it for some other reason why you can't. Because it's possible. Like, look at you did it. And there's no excuse after that.
Yeah, no. I still believe in some parameters, and I think, but to your point, I think those are going to change for everybody. I think those are going to have to be individualized too. Like for me, fast food can be a real slippery slope. It really can, and so like I try to stay away from fast food, but like I'm not an absolutist with this. If I am stuck in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport for 36 hours or something, I'm going to go and get a hotel. But if I'm stuck there for 12 hours, which has happened, and everything's closed but McDonald's, I'm going to eat fucking McDonald's. You know, I might try to pick and choose and create a healthier meal than I would have when I was 500 pounds, but I'm not going to be an absolutist. But for the most part, I'm not eating at McDonald's. I'm not eating at Taco Bell. I might avoid Taco Bell even if I'm stuck in an airport for 12 hours. I
probably would.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of.
I don't think I would.
What I would eat there.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No, even in the McDonald's, like you also remember, people don't think about this. Like I tell my clients, I go, guys, like I could eat cake, and my body would be like, oh, and I would go to the gym and crush legs. You can eat cake, and your body would be like, and you pass out. Like your body is this machine, and then you've been treating it like crap, or it's operating at its optimal state. So your body is operating at that state that it is now versus when you were 500 pounds is going to process the food differently. It's going to be like, oh, this is fuel, this is this. And then your mindset and then your frameability, like all these things you have in place is literally going to change how that food affects your body. And that's full control over your situation versus another guy who just chooses McDonald's. Like I will look for burgers as much as possible and lettuce wrap it or something. Like I will find that. And then even if like, you know what I never really thought of doing? And it was so stupid because I did it during prep where I would just bring my meals. I'm like, why don't I just bring a bunch of chicken on the plane
Yeah.
anyways? Like, why am I not doing that? Like, airport food sucks. I know it does. Like, if I can prepare and bring a little, even if it's a throwaway thing from Walmart and then I throw it away, like, who cares? But why am I not bringing snacks? Like, so when I went to Hawaii after my show, I had my meal prep bag and I brought all this stuff for the plane for me, my wife, and my son. And I was like, this is the shit. We had like, one of them had like some snacks, one of them had all this protein. And I was like, we are just lit with everything we need. And I'm like, why would it take me to do a show to have that idea where I can just bring my own stuff and be prepared?
Yeah, no, 100%. When I was still hyper focused, I've just been maintaining for a long time now, but when I was hyper focused on fat loss, still losing weight, I would not get on a plane without food. I wouldn't go anywhere without food. I would sometimes pack food for
See?
3 days and have a plan, like wherever I'm going, and I travel quite a bit. Like I know I've already done my research, like what's the nearest grocery store? Can I Instacart food? If I can't, what's the nearest, like, does Postmates work? What are my options? Like I would do reconnaissance on everywhere I'd go. I'd pack for a few days. And my wife stopped wanting to come with me because I'd sit down on the plane. I'd open a Tupperware container that had like kimchi and salmon and rice in it. And she'd be like, this should be illegal. The smell you're creating in the airplane should be illegal. She'd get so pissed. Or like a big Tupperware full of hard-boiled eggs. And she'd just be going like, dude, you can't do that to people. Everybody has to smell what you're eating. And I'd be like, I don't care. I'm fucking hungry.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hungry and this is what I can do. Like, it's like, I'm not bitching about the guy behind me just farting and it stinks like fucking ass. Like, I'd rather it stink like salmon than, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, but again, there's so many things, even that brings a good point. It's like everybody worrying, not that she was, but just in general, like about everybody else and everything else. Where when I would do it, when I was on my meals, I have this thing that's called Hot Logic. It was so cool. It's literally this big and it's a hot plate. And then it's an insulated thing. It's got a handle and then it plugs in. So I never went without a warm meal ever. And I would go to dinner with my family and I'd be like, oh, there's a plug socket right here. Boom, plug it in. Plug it in, wait. If we were going to a nice restaurant, I'd make sure it was my steak meal so they wouldn't think about it. This guy's, oh, can I just get a plate? But I brought it everywhere with me and I didn't care. And it wasn't about what anybody else thought because also your journey, if you worry about what other people think, you're just adding in and aberrating your success and your ability to do it faster because none of this has anything to do with anybody else but you.
That's right.
And so you have to do it your way. And you know what I mean? Do it right. Take the tips, do the tricks and handle it correctly, but it still has to be within the parameters of your way. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to succeed or be able to sustain that. Because I can sustain right now, you can sustain right now. And like, I know if my son wants donuts on Sunday, that's cool. But what am I going to do? I'm going to eat 6 eggs.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to balance that out. You know what I mean?
I have stopped traveling with food the way I did because I don't actually need to anymore. I can figure out what I need to eat in the airport. And I know, like, if I have a bag of nuts in the airport, I'm probably skipping dinner because it's a shitload of energy in the bag of nuts. And that's okay. And I'm okay with that. If I'm really hungry or bored in the airport and I go like, I'm going to have trail mix, fine. But that might be the last food I eat that day. When I was really focused on losing weight and fat loss specifically and muscle retention, my macros were dialed and I didn't let anything go to chance. And that's okay too. But yeah, you got to figure out what works.
Yeah. And again, like I think the getting your meals in and the macros and all that other stuff is key, especially for the beginning, for you to get your body to where you want to get it to. And then after that, it's working at an optimum state. So you can start adding in things. And if you get a little fluffy, you know how to pull it back. And that's part of the sustainability. It's like, my schedule was so busy recently. I wanted to get some of these things done. So I just really so instead of doing it for like 3 weeks, I'm like, let me just take a week and get it all done and then put everything else on hold. And I didn't do cardio for like a week or two. And then I was like, man, I'm getting fluffy. I was like, all right, I'll put the cardio back in. And I started not getting fluffy. And I was like, bam, like it's not hard to know. It's it. And again, like it's your life, it's your world, but you have to be able to get to your the point you want to get to. And then once you do that, you have to know and learn what works for you so that you can sustain it. Again, like you said, with the nuts or with this, like you shouldn't have to have like again, too, like you said, like I went somewhere and I was a buffet. I pretty much know what 8 ounces of meat looks like. I pretty
Right.
much know what a cup of carbohydrates looks like. Like it's not hard, and your body doesn't know exactly if you had 8 ounces of meat like you do, but your body doesn't. So if you're off a tiny bit here and there, it's good, but you can sustain this lifestyle, and it's very easy once you have that knowledge. But again, in order to get there, you have to be willing to, put in some work,
Take some
put the
work.
pain in,
That's right.
but that's who cares? I'd rather do that once and then be able to maintain and have fun the rest of my life as opposed to being miserable all the time. Or like when I tie my shoe or, not hold my kid. Like I got a buddy of mine who's even skinny. And he was like, if my son was at a certain amount of flight of stairs, I wouldn't make it to him.
Right. Not good. Not good.
Not good. Like if people sit there and go, oh, health is just being fat and I'm not getting fat. No, you could be skinny and not strong and just be a frail piece. Like maybe you need to build. Like you have to have the ability to handle your life the way you want it, want to live it, and to be an asset and not a liability to somebody next to you. And it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can be jacked. I've seen guys that are jacked go down in flames. You see heavyweight boxers, they're fucking flabby as shit, but they will out cardio the crap out of some guys that are jacked. Like these, where it's the body doesn't know what it looks like. It knows how it feels.
Yeah.
And it reacts based on that.
Right. Exactly. Noah, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much, dude.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate your time and everything like that. It really has been good. And I loved it. It was awesome. Thank you.